Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the ABJ Podcast, episode 65, kicking off June 1st with the most savage man in professional wrestling, PJ Savage. We'll get to him in one moment. Make sure you check the links below for all things ABJ, as well as merchandise. Follow on social media, Patreon. No one's on Patreon right now, so if you jump on the Patreon, that would be dope. Your boy can use all the help he can get right now in the process of moving. So hopefully, maybe by the middle of this month, I'll have a new look, new setup. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on this end. More content is coming. You can see me at this Friday at the Sanctuary in Frackville Sanctuary in Hazleton, Pennsylvania. I believe I'll be at Smashmaster Wrestling on the 17th, hanging out, helping out there. Sanctuary once again on the 18th, and then IWA on the 24th. So I'll have a lot of interaction with my guest here tonight, at least on the 24th, 18th, and maybe Friday. We'll see. We'll talk about them in a second here. But let's get into our sponsor real quick. I said it before in the last episode. If you guys can go head over to Suplex Vintage Wrestling on Facebook, on Instagram, check out their website. They are the lifeblood keeping this podcast alive, and I'm flying that flag high because without them, I would be struggling right now with life and keeping this alive and going, because it costs money to do StreamYard, it costs money to do a lot of things, and they're helping out tremendously just in general in life. So huge thank you to those guys. But guys, it has finally happened. A whole store fully dedicated to vintage wrestling, and they say it can never be done, but I have seen it with my own eyes. Suplex Vintage Wrestling is a store curated by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. It's located on 5th Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, just one block south of South Street in the heart of Queen Village. Their shop features the largest collection of vintage wrestling apparel under one classic roof, and their selection includes classic designs featuring your favorite wrestlers from the Golden Age, Attitude Era, Internationals, Indies, and more. And if you're tired of watching premium live events at home, SVW hosts the best watch parties since your friend Kyle's birthday party when you were 12 years old. And if shirts and watch parties are not your thing, let's not forget their large selection of figures, replica belts, trading cards, and their t-shirts and hats from rare wrestling memorabilia. They have something for every wrestling enthusiast out there. So what are you waiting for? Check them out at suplex.svw on Instagram or suplexsvw.com to let them satisfy your nostalgia needs. They just uploaded, I think, like 50 new t-shirts, old school t-shirts on their website. So make sure you go check them out. And before we get into anything, everybody, happy Pride Month. I'm not a member of the community, but I'm definitely an ally, and we love you all, and love is love, and you should be able to have all the same rights and freedoms as everybody else. And just know on this podcast, I'm in your corner, and I love you to death. So without further ado, let's bring in our guest, the one. I wish I had the sirens to play with it and everything, but I don't want any copyright strikes. But the one, the only, PJ Savage. What's going on, my guy?
What's up, baby? How you doing? Thank you for having me on, man. It's been a long time overdue.
Yeah.
Pleasure being on. I'm a little under the weather right now, so we'll get through it.
Oh, man, I hate to hear that. You're traveling a lot, man. You're everywhere.
Thank you. I mean, that's the goal of it, like to try to get to that next level. I got some international trips like being planned up. Nothing I can announce yet because it's not solid, but that's the stuff that like I want, I need. Japan is a huge place on my bucket list. There's a lot of connections right now, so I'm blessed right now. I'm blessed. I really am blessed.
Yeah, and dude, you're blessed, but also it's your work ethic. You have a very, very strong work ethic. I think you've been putting yourself around a lot of good talent, a lot of good people. Iron sharpens iron, and I think you guys are just tearing your way through this scene and making some huge waves. And it's undeniable what you're doing as a talent and the people you're bringing up with you. I mean, between Win, between IWA, between Sanctuary, you name it, Titan, Chosen, all of it, man. Like you're trailblazing right now, and you're laying down a path for the next generation to follow behind you, and you're doing it with good standards.
Yeah, man. I remember Johnny Rodz. I was trained by WWE Hall of Famer Johnny Rodz. One of the first things he always told me, he was like, I don't care how good you are, Pa. You could be the best guy here. But if everybody else around you is shit, you're shit. So you have to elevate everybody around you, man. So I remember all the way back from when I was training, I would like give my all to the guy that was next to me. There's a couple guys out here that I trained, and I know we'll touch on that later on, but just to name a few guys that I have trained, Prince Ahmed, Jacko, Bougie, Brando Lee, Oh man, there's so many. Johnny Rods had made me the head trainer down there, and it was awesome, bro. It was awesome. Training was like another calling for me, and I can't wait to like enter that next phase of my career where I can open up my own school and just really, really dive into that, because you learn so much more when you're training people. So much more. I never forget. I still have this lesson to me. It's in part why I'm so happy with Chosen Pro Wrestling, because I kind of get to dab back into that teacher moment where it's like, okay, I'm learning a lot. But when you're training guys, like let's say if I got 10 guys in a class and all 10 guys make one mistake, each guy that made one mistake, he's going to go home. He learned one thing. Awesome. I just learned 10 different things. That's where that training aspect came in. That's what I believe really like catapulted my mentality and really just my whole gear and my talent to the next level.
Well, here's a question for you. I used to coach sports back in the day. I coached soccer for a very long time. And wrestling is a type of business where one of the questions I always ask is how many people in your training class are still here, right? Because this is not an easy business, and not many people even make it out of the training thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. You should know you're going to learn real quick whether this is for you or not. But as a trainer, do you look at like, all right, if I have 10 people, I want at least an 85, like a number in your head of like, I want these people to stay. I'm going to try to help them through it, because it's I think sometimes in schools we're just like, and I'm not putting anything out there, I'm not saying anything bad, but it seems like some schools are just like, cool, thank you for the money. If you quit tomorrow, I still got your check. Or do you want to be that school that turns around and says, like, you look at the Creative Pros, you look at the Johnny Rods, you look at these schools that like people have come through, and there's a lineage of look who's made it to the next level beyond our school because they stuck around.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's the mentality that you need to have. One thing that in particular really sticks out with me is not how many guys are still doing it, how many guys are doing it well. How many guys are doing that at a high level, a main event level? How many guys are still cooking, but you could tell they're going to grow and be something special? That's huge. That's why Creative Pro is so special. Because look at all the guys that they have right now that literally catapulted to the top of the game. Like I remember 3 years ago, half of those guys were just doing regular indie shows. They were out here. That was right before I hit the scene. And now it's like, okay, there's a 3-year
They had 3 world champions, 1 current and 2 tag team.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's pretty awesome. And then you see the influx of the school. You see a lot of talent over there now it's coming out. One of the things that Johnny always taught me though was not everyone's gonna make it. Wrestling training in wrestling is almost like baseball. You're gonna get 3 out of 10. If you're batting 300, you're doing pretty well. But how you fix that is, all right, the 7 guys that just struck out, what else can they do? Can they be a commentator? Can they be a referee? Can they be a backstage announcer? Can he run the lights? Can he run the camera? There's ways to train people to make sure that they're in the business. Because not everyone's going to be able to do what we do in the middle of that ring. Not everyone's going to do it. So, but it's how you retain and keep some of those guys so they grow in other areas of the business.
Absolutely. So, geeking out. Metal Geek says women's champion Chris Statlander. I forgot she was Creative Pro. Yeah, definitely. There's another one.
Right now.
And listen, Johnny Rod's got himself a female world champion in his corner, the first ever GCW world champion. Masha, slam of it. I love her. She's killing the game, bro. So talented. Absolutely I've been in her. So it's funny. So Sanctuary, that's where we kind of met. And I remember I used way back. I got my Masha exposure through Camp Leapfrog, and I remember going to Sanctuary. I was like, yo, there's this girl in the scene who's going to kill it. Like she's so good. And everyone's just kind of sitting around and we're just talking wrestling like we do. And I was like, her name is Masha. And Johnny, not Johnny, but Billy Walker looks over and goes, Papa, she's one of ours. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah. I was like, that makes sense.
You'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised at so many guys that are like really, really good out here. You just don't even know that they're Johnny guys. And we're Johnny guys. You know who shocked me the most? Abs. Yeah. Abs is another one that's cut from that cloth, man. Man, Abs grinded. I love Abs so much. He's such a lovable person. He went through it. Like he went through that grind. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. He went through fighting for respect, coming out of a school that's like, we're tough. Like we're as tough as you can get. Like we're gonna put each other through hell. We're gonna hurt each other. We're gonna politic against each other. Johnny's gonna make everybody play the game, and like Abs was pulling. You know what I'm saying? Like he was grinding out, and he stood tall, and then he decided to hit the Indies. I remember he was the one that put Camp Leapfrog on my map. That was right before I hit the Indies. I saw Darius Carter. I saw a lot of guys doing Camp Leapfrog, and that was one of my influences on hitting the indies. So, but Abs is one of those guys that I got a lot of respect for him. I love that dude, man.
Yeah, and I mean, most people that come out of that school are like killers. Like they'll like you're gonna like you and like listen. Don't get me wrong. If Abs wants to flip a switch, that dude can become a killer.
Yeah,
everyone should be happy he's doing comedy.
100%. There was a group of guys that we called them Cowboys kids. If you were a Cowboy kid, you got it the worst. And he was a Cowboy kid for a while. So like that shows you like he went through it, he put up with it, he got his ass beat, he came out the other side, and he's fucking awesome.
Yeah, so good. So what was your earliest memory of professional wrestling that you've seen it and you're like, oh, this is what I want?
Well, shit, man. I remember my first wrestling show was WrestleMania 10 in the Garden. Like my first ever wrestling show.
Never seen wrestling in the Garden. Never seen it.
Oh, it's so different, man. That's why I rep New York so hard, because like I'm a part of the culture. I grew up in it. Like my uncles used to go downtown to the Garden. My uncles were the ones that really like introduced me into shows. My grandmother was the reason I started watching it. I used to watch AAA and CMLL on Wednesdays and Telemundo with her. And then we used to watch Saturday night, the WCW show. My grandmother was heavily into it, and she's the one that like my main focus of getting into wrestling. But my uncles got me into the culture. Like they would take me down to the Garden, even though they didn't even have tickets, and they would tape trade with all the ECW marks. Because that's all that was there. It was just ECW fans that can't get into the building. So everybody's just like, fuck the establishment. And I'm a little 4 or 5-year-old kid just soaking that in, man. Like I was in there, brother. I was in there watching All Japan tapes, watching FWF tapes. Like it was insane, bro. Like it was insane. That's where I got introduced to a lot of the Japanese stuff. I was like 6, 7 years old watching Japanese death matches in my house.
Crazy. I was so sheltered from that, man. I didn't experience any of it until my adulthood. I was a WWF only kid. And I say F. I was a WWF. I watched it go from F to E, and then the WCW and the Attitude Era. And I was like, I went to a buddy's house, and he was flipping back and forth on between Raw and Nitro. And I said, "You hit that remote one more time, I'm going home. I'm never watching wrestling."
As a kid, I actually enjoyed the WCW pay-per-views.
Now I'm appreciating him now watching it later, but during the era, I was anti AEW. Like how people are now AEW and WWE, and like don't be that way. I'm telling you now as a fan,
enjoy it all.
Enjoy everything, because I'm not saying don't be loyal to a brand or a company, but it's the talent you should be watching, not so much the logo of the company. Check out the talent.
100%. I got into all that, man. I was a heavy ECW fan and going to the Garden so young. I remember them hosting up Bret Hart. I was like a Bret Hart mark. Like that was my John Cena, Cody Rhodes today.
I was a Shawn guy, so I was the anti.
I was the Bret guy. I was the Bret. Like everything was Bret. I remember crying seeing Bret lose at the beginning of the show to Owen, and then all of a sudden he won the belt at the end. Like it was just a roller coaster of emotions. It's so awesome, bro. Those things just stick with you. But one of the moments that will always like forever stay with me, I would say this is like the defining moment of me going, I want to do this. Was I was at the Garden in 2002 when Triple H came back. Jean jacket, Hercules, Triple H. And like, I'm getting goosebumps right now. I never heard anything like that in my life, still to this day. Just the raw reaction that he got. It was like, I want to make these same people that I know, that I grow up with, that I'm watching tape trade, and now I'm becoming one of these little teenage brats tape trading in front of the arena, doing all that crazy shit. And they just marked out for Triple H. And at the time, I didn't even get it. It was like he was just gone, but he was just such a badass, and he was back. And, oh, God, that reaction he got and the emotion he filled up the Garden with, I still say has to be one of the greatest moments in wrestling history. Yeah. That was the moment for me that I was like, I got to do this. That's
well, you kind of had a moment like that recently. Maybe the crowd back in the day, the crowds were a lot smaller, and then you came back to a little bit of a bigger crowd and a little bit of ovation, but I felt we sold it well on commentary. But your return to the Sanctuary, I kind of had that Triple H vibe when the horn set, and we kind of like sold like, oh my God, he's back. You know what I mean? Kind of giving you that at the Stampede of like the return of Savage to the season 13.
That was so cool, man. Like I got to touch on the Sanctuary. Sanctuary gave me a home when I left Gleason's, because everybody knows what happens when you leave Gleason's. If you don't know, you don't get blackballed, but you kind of get blackballed. It's like it's a black eye. He doesn't want too many cooks in the kitchen, but at some point you kind of just gotta go. I gotta leave the coop. I gotta grow, and he gets over it. But Sanctuary was the first place that I ever trained in that wasn't Gleason's. And just the ambiance, the cold air, the breathing, and seeing your breath in the air, you're taking bumps, and you're training, you're going over things. And then Trotsky. Trotsky is the reason my promos are the way they are now. A lot of people don't know that. Trotsky honed my promo game down. Like, I remember Johnny used to subdue my voice, and I used to have a very commercial voice because, Johnny used to do very old school promos, NWA kind of promos, where you stand with the background with an announcer holding the microphone, and that's how you practice. That's how you get your reps in. Trotsky was like, no, this is Monday Night Raw. You're going to stand in the middle of the ring, act like you have a mic, or act like you don't, and just go. And who said you can't yell? Go. Do it. Be you. Let it come out. And I was like, whew, that's when I came up with the whole Unleashed and Unchained moniker, because that was truly what I felt. I felt like I was finally unleashed. The chains were off. And I owe Trotsky a lot of the direction of the PJ Savage character when it comes from the promo side.
Yeah, well, let's kind of, before we get into the Johnny Rods thing, we'll just kind of stay on that topic. Like, everyone on the scene knows you guys as the Takeover, and everyone has now finally seen what we got to witness for an entire season in a church that not many people seen the beginning stages of, and that was the Walker clan. That was you guys coming in and establishing that rivalry and building that camaraderie together and learning how to put that team together. And then once you guys unleashed that team on the independent scene, everyone was kind of like, what is this? And I was like, bro, you have no idea. I've been lucky enough to call this action for the last year and a half. You guys are now getting the full Monty of what's about to go down.
We honed so much at the Sanctuary. That's why it felt so good to come back. I remember Trotsky had put up a post, and I just took a year hiatus from the Sanctuary just to do more stuff, just to get out. And that year hiatus was there, but when he was like, who wants to come back? And I was like, me. I hit him up, said, let's make it happen. He said, no problem. And he gave me the dates. And that was just like, I felt welcome back in, like that was just home for me. It was a second home for me. So it was special being back in that place. And when we were there honing that knife, we were sharpening that knife over there as the Walker clan. There was a lot to look up over there. You had Moran, who was really finding his groove as like a top guy, kind of a heel, and he was finding his way, champion. And then you had Ace. Like, Ace Austin was just peeking his head in, and those locker room speeches that Trotsky and Ace used to give. And it was like just being there and just staring at Ace like, I want to wrestle you so bad. Like, just being in this environment with you makes me want you more. And I'll never forget the ending of that season that we were there.
That Avengers shit.
Oh, God, it was so good. So good. It was so good.
Jumping over the top rope. You guys all brawling.
Oh, God. There's a moment, though. I had told all of them. There was this weird thing with me and Ace. We always used to stare at each other. Because, it's just a wrestler kind of Johnny Rods kind of thing where it was like, let somebody know you coming from afar. I used to stare a hole at Ace. He was it. He was the package. You know what I'm saying? And I remember right before he was coming out, they all came out and they're all standing there. And I think it was Ahmed or Jacob. And he looks at me and goes, you and Ace are staring holes at each other. Just daggers straight into each other. So, like, we know what we're going to do right now, but, there's so much untapped right here. And it was just raw. And it was just great for my confidence and my growth just to be in that same environment as Ace. It was awesome, man. Like, that, people don't understand. They don't understand. And then when TakeOver hit the scene, it was just a whole different monster, and they ended up having our own show. Like, it was, where did this come from? You guys didn't watch Sanctuary. Yeah. You saw Sanctuary, you would have saw where all the swag and the confidence came from.
Yeah, the Faceless Ones as a tag team. You were kind of, so here's an interesting thing too with the Sanctuary, and I'm not saying this as a knock at all, but like during your Sanctuary season, you were kind of like the muscle, but like almost kind of like where Face is now as a solo guy, where he's kind of like not going for a championship yet because he's right there, but you were kind of like that guy. Like you didn't peak at the title, but you were the guy just beating the shit out of everybody in the company. If there was a big guy, you guys were locking horns. And then then you got out of the Sanctuary, then you became that top guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And now you're coming back to the Sanctuary, and listen, the 18th, you're going for the title. You and Andre Polino are going. So you kind of have you left as like that top mid Carter, just right underneath the belt. Left, did your thing, came back, and now you're like, I want that title. This is what I wanted.
100%. I want that cross around my waist. There's no doubt about that. There's so much lineage with that title. It was a reason I went to the Sanctuary. I was a Johnny guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I drank the Kool-Aid. I was not leaving ever. Corona changed a lot of things, and I had no choice. But it was like, if I'm gonna go anywhere, I'm gonna drive 2.5 hours to Sanctuary. That's where I'm going. And I knew Masha was up there a lot, so it was like, all right, I got the path. And that's the one thing about all of us. Like I feel like a lot of wrestlers need to just see who's successful. Look at the path that they're laying out. Everybody's laying out a path for you. Yeah, we all have our own path, but you could follow someone's path and go, all right, this took them there. Let me go there. Let me see if there's something similar for me. And if it ain't, it ain't. But if it is, it is. Like, I grew in 2 years at Sanctuary. You know what I'm saying? Like you said.
We all did.
Harder. My voice wasn't there yet. I didn't find my promo voice. I wanted to be the guy, but I wasn't the guy yet, and I had to respect that line. And now it's like I'm not respecting nothing because I'm that guy now. Yeah. And it's great just to come in with that confidence and tell stories like that. Like the story that we just told with Roxas, like I'm the one that's bringing him into Walker Clan. That's a very Gleason's thing to do. Like we called it corners. We called it brotherhood time, where one person would just stay in the middle and just get his ass beat. And that's
jumping in.
Yeah, bro. And it's who wants it next?
Yeah.
Roxas is lucky it's only one guy.
we kind of said before the show started, me and Trotsky were talking. He's like, we both see something in Roxas, and he's very talented in the ring. He's very good. He has everything's there. But what's that one thing he's missing? And we were just kind of looking, and that was when the conversation came up. Like, what if he gets initiated into the Walker Clan? Like, he kind of sided with them during the Rumble, but he has to earn it. And I was like, he has to go in there and get his ass kicked tonight. And that's literally what, like, you know what I mean? Like,
it felt, it was so great because I'm just a sucker for stories. And there was a moment, man, like where things got a little uncomfortable. There was a hush, like a silent hush. It felt like New Japan where people were just quiet.
Yeah.
We were watching and it got real quiet. And I was laying in the Roxas. I was laying it into, and it got real uncomfortable. But it was so good for the story that was being told. Mm-hmm. And then Trotsky, when he threw the mic in, I caught it, had my Roman Reigns.
That was a great catch. That was a great catch.
You said it on commentary. Just a great catch. I was like, things are aligning. Like, things never align this perfectly.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. It's awesome to be back there. Yeah. It goes along with my history and my story and my upbringing and coming onto the scene. So I'm proud.
Dude, I think a lot of my commentary chops to you guys, all of you guys, the whole crew, Walker's Clan coming in, because like Sanctuary was dope, right? Like we had Andre, we had Jordan, we had Hawthorne, we had all these amazing talent, and the next generation coming up, and then you guys coming in just add another layer. And it was my first really year on commentary, and I got to work with Pete, who I think's the top in the industry, and I really got to make it my own with Pete. And then just kind of like I will say right now, like IWA is reaping the benefits of the Sanctuary a little bit, because like me and Pete are there with you guys, and we're kind of continuing those stories, and we know how to call your matches and how to do everything. And it's just like that was a very special year for me in this industry, in that business, and I owe a lot of it to the Sanctuary, and then you guys coming in and doing your thing, because I felt like it was just like a great building point. And look where it's at now, man. Like it's changed so much for that building and for the next generation coming in, and now people are coming in and they're consuming the content.
Yeah, the crowds are filling up in there. That feels awesome. Just
so much fun.
Crowds come in, and it was like, I remember that first year there, and Trotsky said, "I don't care if we're working in front of one person, you're working for the camera." And a lot of times it's going to be true, man. It'll be 3 or 4 or 5 people in there. We just be like, it's just foreign PA. Like, who's going to come over here? Now it's filling up. And it's like, where the hell are these people coming from?
Bro, you know what the secret to professional wrestling is? And that's just what I'm going to tell everybody. You need, if you're in a community and you're running a wrestling show, you need to lock into one demographic. Because if you get this demographic, your shows are going to be lit, because they are going to be the most fun fans you're ever going to have. You need the Spanish community. Bring the Spanish community into your wrestling shows, and the rest is history.
Look at IWA, man. Look at IWA.
They are the most fun. And then
it's called the Nut House for a reason, Like
it's crazy. Bring the Spanish, and then Backlash. Look at Backlash. Like Puerto Rico is hungry for professional wrestling, and you got to experience that firsthand.
Yeah, I wrestled in Puerto Rico the week before Backlash. Literally the week before. I was out there at a promotion called CWA. I was representing SAT because I'm now with them. Mm-hmm. That's who are basically my trainers and mentors now. The Spanish announce team, the Maximos, Joel, Jose.
Amazing.
I'm pretty lucky the stock that I'm getting to learn from. I get to go from Johnny Rods to Trotsky to the SAT. It's a pretty special road that I'm on. But they sent me out to Puerto Rico, and it was like, oh God, just wrestling in front of that crowd was so different. It was so different. They bit into everything. They wanted to be around everything. They wanted to be involved, and they were just going, Dudo. They wanted more. And you don't have to do much as a performer. You can just go out there and just hit hard. Once you're hitting hard, they're gonna be bound into it because it looks real. Mm-hmm. That's the Walker Clan style. That's what we bred off of, being real, making you question like, oh man, what's going on here? Suspend your belief for just a second. Now we got you. And Puerto Rico just eats that up. So just seeing, I'm not surprised what I saw the following week at Backlash, and that just shows there needs to be more going on. I will say Puerto Rico has a very tough politicking system over there. It's very hard for them to open up to outsiders. Like, I kid you not, so I tore the house down with Joey Conway. Me and him went one-on-one the first night, and the crowd was insane. Like, they knew none of us when we were coming out, and just expect it. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a performer, I always listen to Sami Zayn. Everywhere you go, prepare yourself for no one to know you when you walk out that curtain. So I did that. But it shakes your nerves a little bit. No one's reacting. No one's saying anything. And I kid you not, Anthony. At the end of the match, they were chanting Savage as loud as it can be. And it was like, they didn't even know my name was Savage. Yeah, wearing on my shirt. But, like, it was like to get that chant, to walk out like that, that was awesome, man. And then the heat that Conway got. But then we walked back to the curtain, and it was a lot of jealousy. It was a lot of like, oh, maybe we should never put them on at this point. Maybe we should never did this. Oh, you guys can't do stuff like that. You burned out the crowd. And it's very good for me to learn because, like, you go to Mexico, you go to Japan, you got to respect the line. When we're in New York, the Northeast scene, I don't care if you're first, second, third, last.
Kill it.
I'm killing it. Follow it. Follow that.
I love the Northeast scene because Jersey, PA, and New York are all the same. Yo, the number one match can be just as good as the main event because everyone's going out there and going off.
When we first went to Invictus, when I first started cutting my chops at Invictus, they had put me versus John in the pre-show. And me and John looked at each other, a little disrespect, because we wanted to be on the main show. And we always carry chips on our shoulders. And we was like, we're going to have a match at night. Watch, we're going to kill it. And we did.
Yeah.
We 100% had match at night on the pre-show. But you can't do that anywhere else. You come into New York or New Jersey or PA, like you said, Connecticut, Massachusetts, very the same way. You get to go out there and you get to destroy that house. And it's up to those guys behind you. I feel like that makes for so much more competition, and you have to work for stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you just have to work for the reactions. You got to work to get everything out of people. That's the best way to work for me.
Dude, sometimes after shows, man, I am mentally exhausted calling shows because, like, you're supposed to range your emotion, but when your first match is bad, and then the next, dude, at the end of it, I'm like mentally exhausted because I went through a whole range of emotions of sad, of excitement. I think the most exhausted between two companies that I've ever been is IWA and the Sanctuary. Like, I've left both those shows almost emotional, like cried at a match at one time, like because like. Because you have to buy into what you're going, and it's beautiful. But one first question in the chat, I love this. Gaming with Justin says, PJ, is it wrestling at the Sanctuary? Is it difficult wrestling without the bottom rope?
No, very easy.
No one ever puts him in a submission that he has to reach for it.
Yeah, no, and not even that. Like, we usually don't even. I mean, on the wrestling scene in general, for rope breaks and things like that, but it's very rare you see someone use the bottom rope. I mean, there's some guys like high flyers, like Smiley uses every kind of piece of the ring. He's one of those guys, but there's so many. I don't use the ropes hardly. Like, if I use the ropes, is to come off as hard as I can to hit you in your mouth. Yeah. So the bottom rope doesn't affect. I actually like the way it looks on camera. I actually love the way it looks. Yeah,
you get a better shot. So we had a little conversation at the Sanctuary. Let's dive into this a little bit because once again, I think there's a lot going on in the scene. There's some turmoil between this team that we talked about that's going on right now between you and Jocko and Face and Bougie and all these guys. So, like, let's dive into it. You guys come here. You guys forge a path, and then you go out on your own, and then a little deception in the ranks, I guess you would say. Everybody wants that top spot.
Yeah, TakeOver versus STP presented by Invictus was like the stake, just the last nail in the coffin for us. Egos just grew. And I used to tell you guys, commentary, I'm not the leader. We have a hive mind. Mm-hmm. Pete loved that line. I got that from some weird show I was watching, some movie I was watching. I was like, this is perfect. But I had to come up with that for a reason, because I knew there was some guys behind the curtain just like they didn't like the fact that I was the leader everywhere we went. And that's normal in wrestling. And that was the whole point of TakeOver. So
everyone's going to visualize, the fans and the audience are going to visualize a group, and they're going to rank them.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? That's not even something as a team, you can all say we're the Horsemen, but someone's going to be Flair.
You're going to look at Flair. Yeah, exactly. You're going to look at Flair, and I was that guy. That was the Flair. I was the guy. And then when every company we went to, I would end up being in the heavyweight championship matches, the spotlight matches. The story was kind of centered around me. A lot of the backstage stuff is where it went wrong, where a lot of promoters, and I'm not going to call them out, a lot of promoters would reach out to me regarding their bookings. That's where it got iffy. But that wasn't my fault. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's not my fault. And fucking Bougie says this all the time. I'm the John Cena. I'm the pro. I'm going to come and I'm going to do everything by the book, to the letter. I'm going to hit every single bullet point because I am. That's just what Johnny taught me to be. He always told me, whenever you see a top guy or somebody who took over the business, like, look at John Cena. He became the next Stone Cold, and he's cookie cutter. Mm-hmm. But there's something he's got to be doing. He takes shit and turns it into gold. You follow the top guy, and you do everything he does. Almost like what I said earlier, where you follow someone else's path. And I am that guy. I am that John Cena, and Bougie's not. Bougie's the exact opposite of that. Face doesn't really care. Face just
he just wants blood.
He just wants shows up. He just wants to show up, beat somebody up, get a cool clip, and maybe take home a MILF. Like, that's just Face.
That's it.
Jacko's a weird one, man, because I remember coming up in Gleason's, Jacko was supposed to be the next guy. He never really knew this. He was supposed to be the next guy. But he would always kind of, it was like any little thing would like deter his confidence. And that, when your teacher's watching that, when your Johnny Rods is looking at that, and they go, damn, anything breaks him down, I can't really put stock into him. And then every time he would build himself back up, they would throw wrenches at him on purpose, and it would break him down again, and they'll go, oh, we kind of have to stay away. That ended up like just breaking him down. You know what I'm saying? Like, his confidence was really shaken up for a while. And things got heated between the group. It always does. We're the group. We always knew the breakup was going to happen sooner or later. We always used to joke around and say, John's going to hit one of us with a belt. We always used to joke around and say it, and look, it happened. But what ultimately came down to it behind the curtain was no one liked to be second fiddle to me anymore. It was like almost everything's about PJ. And I remember, I'm not going to say the name. We went to go train with some guys, high-profile guys. And this is where I knew it was the end. And the TakeOver guys are going to laugh at this if they're watching, so I've never said this to them publicly. We were there training with some guys and going over, and these guys, high-level guys, looked at John, look at Face, look at Jacob. PJ is your meal ticket. Do whatever you got to do to get him to the dance, because he's going to let you into the door, and you're going to shine. But get behind him and elevate him, because it's already happening. When they said that, and I saw the guy's face, I was like, TakeOver's done. TakeOver's done. It's done. Finished. This is fucked up. It's done. It's finished. Yeah. It's over. It's over. Because, like, I'm not going to shy away, and I'm not going to lower my level for anybody. Yeah. They knew that. That's what TakeOver was. TakeOver, again, to give you the backstory on it, TakeOver was a group of almost 9 guys. We were all Johnny guys. It's 9 different guys have TakeOver logos. Like tonight at 8 o'clock, my Face promo drops. you're going to see the Savage Takeover logo. Bougie has one. The Faceless ones have one. There's other guys that have one. There were other guys in the group Takeover. And I'll just put it out there right now. Prince Ahmed was one of those members. He was Takeover. Matthew Banks from he's in the New Japan dojo. He was in Takeover. Psycho Pump. You know him as Psycho Pump.
Mm-hmm.
He was in Takeover. And there was a couple other guys. And the group was just stacked. But it wasn't supposed to be an on-screen group. It was supposed to be a group that, like, you see me a lot of my earlier matches on the independent scene, you see me yell Takeover a lot. I'll stand on the
you were your own version of the Clique.
Yes.
The Clique was never supposed to be seen as the Clique. But the Clique got each other's back, and they would help each other get their bookings and what they had to do.
Exactly. And what ended up happening was, so you're going to see this in part 2 of the Me and Face promo. That's going to dive into the history of Takeover. The group was supposed to be me, Jacko, and Face.
Mm-hmm.
The on-screen group. That was always the case. There's old pictures in Gleason's. It was supposed to be just us three, and then the other guys were going to do something different, and we would click, you know? And we ended up at IWA one day, and John was just always traveling with us. He was just always with us because that's what we did. If whatever show I was at, that's how I got him into Invictus. I was invited to a Rising Star Rumble, showed up, and I showed them my boys, you know, and then I would go to the promoter, hey, you know, if you got an extra spot, my guys are more than worthy of having it. If not, they're going to help out. They're going to do the ring, and we'll go home on our merry way. Like, that's the John Cena, you know what I'm saying? And so at IWA, me and the Faceless Ones finally came together. We were a team. They helped me beat up somebody. Following show, we show up, and the promoter at the time, the booker at the time at IWA goes, John's always with you guys, right? I'm like, yeah, but at this time, I'm already fighting John everywhere. Because that the other thing we were doing, like, well, I know me and you can have bangers, so let's, you know, put the work together.
And sometimes real animosity is sometimes writes its best stories.
It works, man. When you throw a steak in front of two pit bulls and you see them fight it out, you're going to be entertained.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what me and John always was. We was always, all right, we'll help each other climb to the top of the ladder, but when we're at the top, it's down to me and you. You know what I'm saying? And we show up at IWA, and then the promoter goes, we're going to put him with Takeover. And you can see me, Jacob, and Face look at each other like, I want the plan. Can it work? Too late. It's going to work now. And we got an extra guy. And the way we looked at it was this was on-screen time for us. We're going to come out with each other on every entrance. So now 3 people, 1 tag, 4 people, 1 tag team, and 2 singles guys. That's 3 times we get to come out to the curtain, come out to our music, come out and make a statement, make people look at us, make people see us. That was our little insider way of trying to just get over. You know what I'm saying? So and we was like, to hell with it. Why not? And that's where the group kind of took off. But then again, that was the ending of the group. We left a lot of money on the table. Yeah,
because the way it works is a lot of people try this on the indie scene where they said, "Hey, we're going to roll in with our boys. We're going to do our thing." And I love that for the independent scene. When you come with a car full of people, those car full of people should be your ride or dies. You should be trying to help each other out. You should be trying to do all that, and you should be trying to better each other. And this is what I told you in private, and we'll say it here now: is the ego. I understand where the egos come from, but big picture, and I hope most of the takeover. Spoiler alert, is going to be on this month. You know what I mean? All except one, because one just doesn't talk. I can't do anything with that. You know what I mean? I love him to death. Yeah, but sure, there might be that hierarchy, right? Like, because you're, like you said, you're the businessman. You're the guy who's going to talk to them. You guys are going to make sure that the bookings go through that. That's it is what it is. We all know Bougie. Outside of this, he sucks at being that role. He's terrible at it. He shows up late. He comes and does what he wants, and then he dips. You know what I mean? I love Bougie, but that's what Bougie does.
I used to hate them, bro. I used to get at them every time. We used to show up late just because they want to stop at gas stations. I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
We're supposed to be there an hour early, at least, bro. And that's just me still being late. And then after the matches, I'm sorry, Bougie, he was like, can we leave? I didn't even wrestle yet.
Yeah.
Like, where are you going? All right, hurry up, bro. Hurry up. Cut it short. Like, come on, man.
Yep.
We're supposed to stay to the end. We're supposed to, put in our work. And it's just people are cut differently. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just he's cut from a different cloth.
Yeah, but when you guys would roll up and you do that story, and it worked at so many places because it was believable. When you walk out together, it no matter who's on the roster, unless you got six big shows, you guys walk in. It's not a believable thing that you're going to take this shit over and do something about it. You know what I mean? And that's a division. People love faction rivalries and like the company rivaling against the new takeover. Like, we're coming in and we're taking your shit. Do something about it. And that will always work in professional wrestling. But what bummed me out the most about the egos and how everything broke down, because I've seen it from a distance, is everyone needs to realize, like, sure, the fans are going to rank you guys in a certain thing, but every single one of you guys in that stable are main event guys. You're all top guys. What happens is when the takeover comes into your company, whoever you think are your top guys of this insert company name here, they have just all been bumped down 5 spots.
Exactly.
And that's the truth. And if you want to be in a higher regard of the takeover, then fight them for it. And that's what makes the takeover beautiful. And that's what made the take, like, everyone might go, and I'm just saying this as an example, like, oh, it's Savage, it's Bougie, it's Face, it's Jocko. But at the end of the day, Jocko can easily be the top guy in that spot too. And he's proven that the last IWA show. You guys went out there and killed it. Bro, it was powerful. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's special. It's special what all of yous are doing. And like I said, there's a lot of money out there.
So the grand plan for me, because I never do anything without making a grand plan, and I'm always about like branding and trying to get out there. That's why I always have my Savage logo. You always see it, I'm gonna blast it in your face, because I want it to grow, I want it to be big, I want it to become something. And I was like, well, I'm taking on the secondary logo, I'm taking on the takeover logo. How can we turn this into the NWO logo?
Okay. Yeah, it's like an NWO Bullet Club.
Yeah, exactly. And the big goal for me was like, all right, we need to be respected. I know we can hang with guys because we just have that talent. Like you said, you might think you're the top guy, but the moment we walk in, everybody's uneasy because they know they're not anymore. We just come in with a different swag. We come in different confidence. We already know we are the show. Mm-hmm. No one's going to get a louder reaction. Like, that's our mentality.
Well, not to cut you off real quick. So I seen that Sanctuary. I came in late when you guys already dominated IWA. I came in as a replacement and then just kind of stuck around. The first time I really seen you guys go into a company where it was my first time being there, you guys are still kind of new to the company. And from every single spot in the card, and it was a stacked card. Stacked. I show up. Quite honestly, I love all you guys, but I came for one match on that card, and none of you were in it. But by the end of the show, every single member of the takeover earned the top spot of that show, and that was Win in New Jersey that night, WrestleMania weekend. Face went in their opening match, place went nuts, tore the house down. Jocko was in the scramble. By the end of it, everybody was chatting Jocko and the rest of the people in that match. Then the 6-man tag that I was there for obviously did it because that 6-man tag was unbelievable. But then the main event happened, and then I seen Conway for the first time wrestle, and I know he's not a takeover member, but goddamn, if you can put Conway in any single match with any single member of Takeover, it's just money. It's money. I want to watch him wrestle every single one of you.
Because he steps up to the plate.
He's so good.
That's what I love about Conway. Like, Conway, he'll look at me. And me and him, we bonded a lot in Puerto Rico because we were out there together. And me and him, we talked. And he was like, yeah, there was a professional disdain for each other. There was a personal, like, well, what's this guy got that I don't? Why are you on front of posters at this company? I'm at the front of those companies. What's gonna happen when we mix? And brother, it was just like me and him, we gel because we are those two pit bulls that want it. And I'll never forget it. He didn't know what he was walking into at Richfield. Conway lives in a little world of his own, and YWC does his thing, and he focuses on what he's doing. He doesn't really focus on the outside of the scene too much, and didn't really know what I am at Richfield. That's like fucking CM Punk coming out in Chicago. Like, Richfield's gonna have some fun with me. You know what I'm saying? And we're behind the curtain. He heard the reaction. First, he heard the reaction that Jacko got, and then the match, like you said, everybody was going crazy for Jacko. He goes, brother, if you get anywhere near that, we're gonna have an easy night. And I looked at him and I go, you have no fucking clue what you're up for. If you just asked me that, you got no fucking clue. And when we came out, after I came out, got in the ring, and he looked at me, he goes, I feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Different level.
I literally said, because he was spectacular in that match, but I literally said to the SAT and Paul Loria at that point, I go, you know what the only disadvantage of this match is? I think you wasted a debut of a character because I don't think you have two monsters in this ring that are not going to sell to this character, and not because they don't want to. It didn't work.
It's just the character. It's hard. It's hard to, especially when you're like, this is the first main event of this company. I'm gonna bring that big fight feel.
Yeah.
No matter what, you're gonna call the match the big fight. Like, I'm coming in, and then there was an added chip on the shoulder. WrestleMania weekend in LA. Rumor has it they wasn't booking East Coast guys. So there was a lot of stuff on the table for me that actually got pulled off.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. So I had that chip on my shoulder, not even knowing the same thing happened to Conway. So
I think the only guy who really made it out there was, besides like the main GCW crew, was Darius Carter. He had a big weekend.
Darius was the only East Coast guy that ended up making it out there. And I get it, bro. I get it. It's you trying to put on your local guys and you're trying to put on for your scenes. It's the same thing I'm going to do next year for Philly. But, like, I'm going to take over for Philly. But we'll talk about that. So, it was that chip on our shoulder, and I found out the same thing happened to Conway. So, me and him are looking at each other, and we're going, you didn't get booked either, huh? Nope. This is our Mania weekend. Mm-hmm. This is it right here. So, like, God damn, man. Like, I get the goosebumps right now. Just that feeling, that main event fight coming out, first of the company. Chavo wasn't in the match. We thought they were going to pull it out from being the main event. We thought we were going to open up the show or do first half main, and they still gave us the responsibility of holding down the main event. And that was just, you know how much that means to me, being a main event. Like, that's everything I got in this business for. So, like, oh, God damn, that was sweet, man. It was sweet. And then, not for nothing, there was a lot of people that didn't know me. The people on that win side that never saw me work, that never saw, like, my stuff. They're in Long Island. They do their thing. And it went from, okay, Joey Conway is the guy that you said was the guy. I just fucked up those plans.
Yes, sir.
I just fucked up those plans. And this isn't just Richfield. This is going to be everywhere we go. And I'm going to produce more. I'm going to cut more promos. I'm going to storytell. I'm going to do more than any other guy in your roster. Like, that's just me. I literally cut 6 promos leading up to the win show coming up.
Mm-hmm.
6. Well, I'm cutting promos on 6 different guys. It's just guys aren't doing that work. They're not putting in podcast work. They're not putting in the work that I'm doing. And they're not going out and killing the shows like I'm doing.
Yeah, and it's crazy, man, because, like, that's this Northeast scene between, like, the PA, Jersey, New York, like, and I hate to say it, man. I hate to try to boost up my area more than anywhere else, but, like, the people who work in this 570 area, man, the people who they're doing the high tensions, the Smash Master Wrestlings, the Sanctuaries, and that are branching out, man, they're hungry motherfuckers, man. And then when people come down here and get that vibe and then they take it out, it's just like,
it's a different vibe. When you go up there, you know there's a lot of, like, chip on the shoulder kind of vibe and energy because there's not a lot of the PA guys getting out.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. It's the New York guys, some Jersey guys that aren't considered backyardists. It's majority New York guys mixed with the Massachusetts guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go to Massachusetts, it's all Massachusetts guys sprinkled with New York guys.
Yep.
So it's like they don't really have room to sneak in, but you got some killers over there, bro.
Yeah.
You got killers. Like, there's legit killers over there.
I always say, man, Hawthorne should be everywhere.
He's a money player. It's just, the thing is with Hawthorne, he is a gimmick. It's hard to put gimmicks in places of realism.
Mm-hmm.
Me and him worked, and it was great at Invictus. But the moment he came out, it was like it was very one-sided. And that, to the promoter, is going to go, okay, is this guy worth bringing in again? He's a guy that you got to let him develop.
Yeah.
You got to let him. And then what sucks, too,
the crowd has to learn him because he could be face or he could be heel. But I guarantee
he's made for TV. He's made for
you give him 3 or 4 spots on the show, he will win over your crowd.
He develops in any kind of character. I've seen him play so many roles.
Mm-hmm.
And he develops in every single role that he gets into. He's a made-for-TV guy. Like, he needs to be on a episodic television show.
Like an NXT.
Yeah, you get to see
Conway would be beautiful for NXT.
Oh, my God. He would kill it. He's one of those guys, bro, that he just has that dog in him.
Mm-hmm.
There's that dog. Like, no matter what, oh, you don't believe in me? You don't think I got it? Okay, I'm going to show you I do. He reminds me a lot of me. Me and him are very similar and very different in a lot of aspects. But he has that same mentality I got. Like, no matter what, yeah, my belly might be a little bit big. I don't care if you got a six-pack. You're going to lose to me. Yeah. You don't have it. You don't have what I got. I have it. You know what I'm saying?
I love that. Who are some other people on this scene that impress you, that you're watching, that people should be knowing about?
Oh, man. Nikolai White is one of those guys right now. He's heavy on my radar. He's just very young. Behind the scenes, there needs to be some growing up. He just does some crazy shit. And it's like he accepts that something crazy is going to happen when he's in the building. But when he's in that ring, there's no denying him. Like, he needs to be on the X Division, on Impact, just destroying right now. Like, he's one of those guys. Michael Fane's another guy that I got my eye on. He's killing it in Titan. He's killing it at Chosen. He's destroying the scene right now. Mike Skyros is another guy that I always watch that I feel like should be more places.
Have you ever worked Skyros?
No.
Oh, we got to make that happen.
Yeah, me and Skyros put on.
That'd be a good first Friday where you just show up on a Sanctuary Friday and just put it together.
Just me and Sky. I'm down, bro. I'm down. I remember the first time I met him was at Test of Strength, and this is when no one knew who the hell I was, right? So I show up, and it was Mike Skyros versus Pena, and I'm watching because I'm like, they're gonna have a bet. I know Pena. I've trained with Pena, like Johnny Rod's guy. Like, they're gonna kill each other. Pena's gonna bring it. And they came back to a curtain, and they're talking about the match, and Pena sees me. You know, we're talking about what could be, what's on the horizon, what's next. And Skyro goes, "You're Johnny Rod's guy too?" And I look at him and go, "Hell yeah. You got no clue what we can do in that ring together, bro. No clue." So he's one of those guys I've always had my radar on, Mike Skyros, bro.
Yeah, I love those first Fridays because we just, like, invite people down, and we're like, "Trosky, put these two together." And he's like, "All right, I trust you." And then when you guys go out and do a match, and then on commentary, we're like, "Yes! Yes!"
Just have a banger. You just have a complete banger. Another guy that I always love, and I'm so glad he's finally out the scene. He's just getting his due diligence, is Andre Polino.
Oh, I love that kid, man.
Even though I'm going to kill him in a couple weeks, but
yeah. Dude, him and Rocket, if you go check out him and Rocket at
Sanctuary. I watched that. Friday. I watched that match.
Sick.
Rocket's another guy. He can go with anyone. He can go with anyone on this planet, not just on the scene. But Andre has what I like to call the wrestler total package. He sells. No one out here sells.
He draws emotion out of you too.
Yeah, like no one can. Like, I love giving him choke slams and 4 Nelsons because like he's gonna look like I killed him. He's gonna look like I killed him, bro. He's gonna look like I killed him, and I love that about him. And I had told him because he's kind of under my wing at Chosen. I want to make sure he shines up. And I remember his first couple shows. The first show we saw a lot at the tryout. And then the show, it was kind of like, he did too much selling. And I had told him, I was like, you got to show some life. You got to show some fight. Put some offense in there, kick into another gear. And when he did that, now all of a sudden he's on the Titan roster full time now. And
his offense looks believable, but for his size that he could hurt you with it. Like, his spin heel kick is devastating looking.
Bro, he does a super kick from standing on the mat to a guy that's on the top rope.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. It's one of the best things I've seen. Those are a couple guys I have my eye on. There's a lot of guys I want to wrestle, of course, but there's a couple guys that I know that are on the watch right now. That's like, okay, you got to keep track of the progress.
Well, we are getting close to that time here, everybody. Please get your questions in. This is the part of the show where I open up to the chat. If you guys have a question, please get them in there, and let's get going. Another one here. I know you're talking about. Here you go. I know you're talking about recruiting people. Then I got to ask, how the F did you let Jerry recruit Jerry?
Long story short, so I always try to, like, if I see a guy's heart's in the right place and he really wants to, like, get it, he reminded me a lot of Bougie. Yeah. Bougie was making a lot of mistakes when he first got the Gleasons. And it was like, fuck, all right, stay with me. Just stay with me. I'm going to tell you what to do. And Jerry was making a lot of mistakes, but he was putting his heart out there. And like that, I got to, like, you're a pure soul. So he ended up riding with me to a bunch of shows just to get that lesson under his belt. And, like, if you're in that car and there's Prince Ahmed and PJ Savage talking about how to build up a main event, I can't let you ride with anyone else now. Because, like, that's information that's, like, sacred. You can't give that out. No. So he just kind of got stuck with us. And he's growing now. It's awesome to see. It's awesome to see Jerry become the outcast, even though he's stealing all my moves. But it's awesome.
This is not a question, but speaking of Jerry, can you use this platform to tell him to grow his beard back?
100%. I was never to look like Jabba the Hutt again. I hated it.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on? I was at the Rise show, man. It was like, what the hell is going on? But I love Jerry, man. I can't wait to see Jerry grow. He puts in a lot of work that no one sees. He does the flyering. He does the on the ground footwork. And he's the reason I get to a lot of my shows. Like, he's that guy. I'd rather ride with him and no one else.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to give a quick plug here. Someone in the chat, Don. Savage always makes us a fantastic first impression. I want to give him some love. Don is also a podcaster himself. He does a great job. Yeah. And on Tuesday the 6th, as of right now, I will be having on the first ever podcast for this guy. We talked about it a bunch on this podcast. Prince Ahmed will be coming to the ABJ podcast, and he's only said he's doing 2 podcasts. So any other podcast listen out there, listen, you got to stay in line, because the only 2 people getting that interview is myself and Don, because the way we conduct ourselves in this business.
Hey, Don, I'll put in a good word for you, Don. I'll put in a good word for you.
Huge props to Don. Make sure you go check out his podcast. If he's still in here, please put your links and stuff in there, and we'll plug him in there. If one of my moderators is here, go search him out. Also, we got in the chat here, Vince Torres saying ABJ pulling out the big interviews. Always, baby. That's what I do. If you can write a letter to your younger self, what would it say?
You're gonna make mistakes, and it's okay.
Love that.
It's fine to make mistakes. It's okay to fuck up.
I do it all the time.
I would fuck up, and I would let it hold me back. Mm-hmm. I would sulk in that for months. I remember I wanted to be a wrestler, and then all of a sudden I was having a kid. Oh man, I just messed up my whole life. I can't be a wrestler no more. Like, who said, bro? I stopped my wrestling journey twice. Because of the same reason. And if I could go back in time, I'll tell myself that and just be like, just when you're 18, just go to Johnny Rods. Go have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Long.
Next one. What is some good advice for someone new to the business? Donnie Bambino.
Go slow. If you think you're going slow, go slower. Take your time. Study a lot of Randy Orton. He teaches you how to just be methodical in the ring, even with the promos. He's one of those guys. And it's about the 3 letters of the brand you work with. It's not always about you. It's about the company. If you could get the company elevated, it's going to help you a lot. If you look at 2 instances with me, Invictus was a hard place to get into when I was first working on the scene. No one was at Invictus. It was one of those locked gatekeep companies. Titan Championship Wrestling. It was a company where only top level guys was going to be at. You know what I'm saying? And now I feel like I add something to the brands. I feel like I bring something to the table, and I'm only going to grow more now. I want to be able to put my face on the poster and have you sell out 30 tickets or sell 50 tickets just because my face is on the poster because people want to see me there. But that's me doing it for the brand. Yeah, but it's for me, but it's because I want to bring value. So you have to do things with the brand in mind, and always do business. Always do business. That's exactly what I would tell anybody.
Not really a question, but I'll put it in there just because we'll take all the self-gratification we can. Jeanette in the chat says, my 2 favorite people, and we love you too. Natty Photography, everybody.
Shout out to Jeanette. She's
always making us look amazing, even when we don't deserve to. Just make sure you guys check out PJ Savage. We'll be at the Sanctuary on the 18th. If you cannot make it there live, please check it out live on YouTube at Sanctuary PATV on YouTube. I will be on the call. He will be in the championship match going for that Sanctuary title.
2 years later.
Yeah. And then you can catch us again that same following weekend on the 24th. We will be we'll be back in the Nut House and IWA on the call, having some fun. I will be without Pete DeLong that show, so that's going to be scary.
Oh, that's gonna be great. It's going to be interesting.
That's terrifying. So I got to figure that out because I'm flying solo without Papa Bird there, so I got to figure that out.
Oh, you're gonna do great, bro.
I think there's some tricks up the sleeve. Who's going to be joining me on commentary? So we'll see how that pans out. But anywhere else you want to plug? Where can people find you, PJ, and all that closing stuff?
Please go follow me on social media. The promo drops right after this podcast. Vince, that you touched my heart with that promo. Chosen Pro Wrestling is a special place for me, bro. It's a place where I get to be a teacher, I get to be creative, a promoter, and test that other side of the business. And our next show is June 10th, Hoboken, New Jersey, a new home for Chosen Pro Wrestling. And just go check that out. Go get those tickets. Come out to Chosen Pro Wrestling. If you want to see some hungry young guys perform and go to the next level, Chosen's where you're going to see them first. The following week, I have Win, June 16th. I have Titan Championship Wrestling, TJ Marconi, June 17th, and then June 18th. I'm at Sanctuary Championship match, packed weekend that weekend, and the following weekend got 2 extra bookings there. IWA, me versus Lance Anoa'i, match I've been dying for a long time. It just one of the things that bothers me about this match is that I'm a heel. I like bringing that Shane Taylor, PJ Savage out, where it's just, I'm not a heel, I'm not a baby face. I'm just gonna punch you in the face. So you might see me dab some of that out there, but you're definitely going to see the heel side of me. I like being the heel at IWA. Just go check out everything I'm doing, man. It's some special things going on. Again, keep watching Philadelphia. There's going to be some special things happening. The storyline at Invictus between me and Bougie, now it's being faced on the 25th in a Jersey street fight. Me versus Face in a Jersey street fight. I don't know. This better be the main event because nothing else is going on after that one. Nothing else is going on after that one.
You're not gonna have a ring left.
Oh God, we're gonna get kicked out the building. That's for sure.
Bro, could you imagine you guys take the ropes down mid-match?
No ropes. I don't want no ropes, Alex. Let's take them down. I don't want no ropes. Yeah, man, go check me out all those.
Did you see Ricky Price's promo for Bougie for Smashmaster?
Yeah.
Where he's like,
this is another guy. I like him a lot.
I do too. I mean, I hate him. That guy. Anyway, dude, that was funny. He's like, Bougie, you're a chump. Rocket, you're a chump. Face, you're cool.
Oh. That was Bougie's turning on Takeover promo.
Yeah.
Fuck Savage. Fuck Jaden.
No one fucks with Face.
You're cool.
Face is that pitbull, man. And listen, I love you, Savage. I know you're one of the top guys there, and love all you at that table. But when Face realizes that he probably can kill everybody, that's a scary thing to look out for.
Yeah, when
Face wants shiny objects and title belts, that's going to be a scary world for everybody in professional wrestling.
That's an animal, bro. I told him that he has so much potential. But one of the great things about me and him wrestling is this is probably the first time he's wrestling a guy that's not afraid of him.
Yeah.
That's been in the ring with him countless times, and we've trained with each other for hours. And it's like, what are you going to do? Hit me as hard as you can? I've already eaten that one.
Yeah.
We're going to fall on some hard inanimate objects. We're going to have some fun, baby. It's going to be a picture of violence.
Even though I'm not in wrestling yet, I always let myself know 2 things: that there's always a shout out, no matter what, and if you have a good match, a great match, or a bad match, you're your own worst enemy, dude. That goes for anything you do in life. If you're gonna start this podcast, I listen back and I go, man, I left something on the table here. I only have so many subscribers. Why am I not growing? It's any industry. If you're passionate about it, you're gonna beat yourself up over it.
Yeah, and the old wrestler trick: when you think you have a good match, it was probably the shits. When you have a bad match, it was probably really good.
Yeah. All right, well, that'll do it for the interview. PJ, thank you so much for doing this. If you guys are listening back on the audio platform, or even right now, if you're on Facebook, if you're on any of those platforms, head over to YouTube, head over to Twitch, follow me on those platforms. I think YouTube, I just surpassed 700 subscribers. I am in the quest for 1K. If you are on those, hit likes. Likes help the algorithms. Hit the share button. Let people know what you thought of it. If you're listening on audio, or you want to listen to more ABJ podcasts in the car, any podcast platform, ABJ Podcast, you can leave reviews. That helps out a lot. Feedback. Let me know what you guys thought of it. Towards the end of this interview, when the outro music playing, if you want to write a little review right now, I'll post it in the chat. All that feedback is good. If you hated it, tell me. If you thought it was good, it was good. Tell me if I missed something. I appreciate all that. A lot of new faces in the chat, so I appreciate and hope you guys stick around. I'll give you guys a little bit right now. So the 6th, Prince Ahmed will be on the podcast. The 12th, Jocko will be on the podcast. The 20th, Rocket will be on the podcast, and then the 26th will be HC fucking Loke on the podcast. Wow. And then we're going to end out the month on either the 29th or the 30th. I recorded a podcast at a local brewery with Nubian Bear. He's a rapper. He works with a bunch of people. He's a very, very talented musician. And then going into July, I'm still going to do wrestling interviews, but I am going to start mixing it up. I'm reaching out to musicians. I'm reaching out to podcasters. We're going to start diving into other venues and talking to some people. I still have a lot of spot for wrestlers, but we are going to start mixing it up. It's not just, I know it's the ABJ ABJ Podcast, but it's not just independent wrestling. That's just my love and where I'm mostly at. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming. Make sure you check the links below to follow PJ Savage and come see us at some live shows. And we'll see you guys next time. Here's some outro music by the Converse Kid, Billy Trey. We'll see you on Tuesday with Prince Ahmed.